Hey all, so this is Shulamit Lazarus, personal transformation specialist, life coach, energetic healer, and clairsentient and intuitive and more. You can learn more about my work by looking up shulamitlazarus.com. What I want to speak about today is the next level of using EFT for a specific emotion. And one of the things that I find that clients have issues with is anger. They're wanting to be able to clear feelings of anger. And certainly we can all relate to anger. We can relate to being angry at a person or about a situation. So I want to deal with anger also because I think that it's very appropriate with what's going on with COVID, that there is two things going on that seem like opposites, but they're actually related, and that is fear and anger. Okay? So what I wanted to do tonight was to deal with anger. All right. So I had gone through the process in my other video on the basics of EFT, and I will quickly go through that again. But what I want to do now is get more specific. All right. So we talked about EFT being based on a discovery that that all negative emotion and emotional pain and illness and physical pain comes from a disturbance in the energy field, and that we all have energy fields, and all sentient beings have energy fields, and all living things have energy fields. And everything is actually energy fields within energy fields, so even stones have energy fields. It's just a different vibrational frequency. Okay, so when we bring up a thought, and thought is neutral, and it's associated with a negative feeling or negative experience, it charges that thought negatively. That negatively charged thought creates blockages in the energy field. When we tap on certain acupuncture points to leading meridians, we're able to clear the charge. Okay? So what we do then is we do something called the setup. And we use the side of the hand, the soft side of the hand, which is the karate chop area, and we set it up. The setup is basically laying out the foundation of what those rounds are going to be about and attuned to. Okay, so when I did the basics video, I showed you that we set it up in a very simple manner, because what I wanted you to do was to start looking at stress in a general manner. Okay, because with COVID and with life and with relationships and whatever that's going on with you, you're dealing with stress. Okay. And just to define stress is anything that asks for a change. So if you get cold all of a sudden, that's a stressor. If you get hot all of a sudden, that's a stressor. If you get a new job, that's a stressor. If you fall in love, believe it or not, that's a stressor. Although maybe a wonderful stressor. Anyway, so, but the thing is to realize that stress is actually something that asks for change. And if you think about how often during the day you're going through something that's asking for a change, you can't think about it because it's happening at a subconscious level. Okay? So you're always adjusting, always feeling something is always going on that needs something else to happen and balance it out. Right? So all about balance. Okay? So I am teaching you a process that's going to help you balance yourself. And what I want to do tonight is deal with anger. So what we're going to do is we're going to go specific. So first we're going to go general, and then we're going to go specific. All right. So this is the karate chop area, and we're going to just do a round for stress, just to kind of recap what was in my other video. And I strongly suggest you go there first if you haven't yet become aware of what tapping and EFT is. That gives you a good foundation, and then you can come back and get specific. All right, So we're just going to tap on the side of the hand, the karate chop area. Even though I have this stress, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now, when you focus on the stress, you're attuning yourself to the vibrational frequency of that disturbance in your field, right? So you're saying, even though I have this blank, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this blank, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this blank, I deeply and completely accept myself. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tap your points, and you're going to focus on the reminder phrase, which is this stress. So we're going to start with that, okay? So even though I have this stress, and you're tapping 7 to 9 times, but don't get rigid about it, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I suggest that you do it out loud, because your being actually, it lands better in your being, especially when you're first starting this work with yourself, to do it out loud, okay? So even though I have this stress, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this stress, I deeply and completely accept myself. I'm going a little faster than last time. Even though I have this stress, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now, quickly going through this, I deeply and completely accept myself. There is always a part of you that accepts yourself. And again, you'll learn that from the other video. So suffice it to say that when you say I deeply and completely accept myself, that you open up the heart center, which governs the energy field. So it allows the energy field to be open to take in what you're doing with the tapping and clearing the charge, right? It's already opening it up, so it's setting it up so that you're going to be successful, right? Which is what I want for you. Okay, so, where was I? Okay, so even though I have this stress, I deeply and completely accept myself, right? You do that 3 times. You say the same formula. You don't have to worry. You don't have to get magical about it. I want you to just know the basics right now, okay? And then we're going to tap with a reminder phrase. I have this stress, okay? So it's almost like you're using a laser beam of light, like one of those pointers with that beam, that little red guy that comes out and points things like that. You're focusing your consciousness on that. It's bringing up the frequency. Remember that when we're focusing on something, we're not about pushing it down and making it even more real. We're actually bringing it up and out, okay? So we want to bring it up because it's already there, okay? This is not an affirmation. I could talk about affirmations, not the time, but it's already there, and then you're bringing it up and out, okay? So, so now we're going to tap this stress, and again, several times. You're going to be tapping however it feels right to you, but I'm going to say at least 5 and then 9, okay? Somewhere in between. I'm going to take my glasses off, which of course is going to add tremendous stress because I can't see you, but I know you're there. Okay, this stress, that's the brow area. You're going to be tapping. There's a little, let me just start for you guys a better recap. We're going to use like a little claw, okay? So the top of the head, and the reason why we do that is really that's like the sort of the point at which all of the meridians are coming out, okay? So we're getting a lot of movement just by doing the top of the head. I do it with a little claw action, and then there's a point at the level of the brow, and where the brow and the nose meet, you'll notice there's a little indentation, and so we're going to tap there. I usually use 2 fingers, but whatever feels comfortable to you. Then we go to the side of the eye, and on the side of the eye there's a bone, and it's really the orbit of the eye. Don't go to the temple, it's the orbit of the eye, right? And so you're going to tap there, this stress. And then the next point is under the eye. You're going to feel also, there's a little point there. It's midway almost the cheekbone, right? Where the eye orbit becomes the cheekbone. And I usually use 3 fingers there because it's just easy. This stress. And between the nose and the mouth, this stress. and then the mouth and the chin, this stress, and the collarbone area, this stress, and over the collarbone areas where the breastplate, the collarbone, and the first rib meet. And because that's a little complicated to figure out, you just go over the whole area is just fine. So you can either use like your 5 fingers like that, or 4. Some people do this with their knuckles, right? Whatever does the work for you is fine, okay? And then under the arm, where the seam is, or where your brow, on the side where your brow would be, okay? So under the arm, we're always hitting bone, because bone has the capacity to move electrically. And what we're doing is we're dealing with an electromagnetic field. That's our biofield, okay? So what I want to do now, and so again, just quickly going over, recapping, what you're doing is you're looking at your discomfort level with whatever it is that you're dealing with. We call it SUDS, subjective units of distress, but you could just say discomfort is fine. And you're looking for yourself 0 to 10 before you start, and then you do a few rounds of your tapping, then you check in. There you are. I knew there was something wrong because I couldn't see you. And then you check in and you look at, well, what happened to my number? Did it drop? Didn't it drop? And so on, right? And then you do several more rounds, and the intention, of course, is to bring that number down so that the stress is lower. Now, if you find that the number stays the same, you're stuck. And it's because there's something else back here that's trying to get addressed. And I'm going to explain a perfect example of that when we start tapping about anger. That's really, really important. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that formula and we're going to fill in a specific. So this is how you deal with a specific feeling. And we're going to deal with anger, okay? So again, we're going to make the same formula, make it simple, right? For you, so it doesn't change that much, but the blank and what you fill in there is really where your consciousness is going to be focusing. That's what you're tapping on. That's what you want to clear, okay? So I'm going to say, even though I have this, and you're going to focus on the anger, right? So even though I have this anger, I deeply and completely accept myself, even though I'm angry. Now, here's the thing. You want to find the words that fit what's going on for you, okay? So if you're angry at somebody, you can tap on just the anger, right? And start working with it generally. And if that's not opening up a can of worms for you, and because I want to let you know that when you start tapping, you're actually accessing your subconscious mind. That's why this is such a powerful process that I say it's amazingly simple, right? Deceptively simple, and profoundly, deeply effective. And that's why we don't want to play with this in terms of trauma or working with a friend with sexual abuse or whatever it is. You don't want to play like that. Because what happens is as soon as you start tapping, the person can get flooded. You can get flooded. And if you get flooded emotionally, then you're actually worse off, because now you've opened up a can of worms emotionally, and how are you going to deal with it, right? So I don't want you to be in that place. So I want you to know that if at any point you feel like your emotions are getting too intense for you, then stop, okay? Don't go farther, because we want this to make you feel better. And if you start feeling worse and things come up for you, Certainly, you could always contact me. I'm a practitioner. Certainly, I would say find a practitioner because there's something going on that's roiling, bubbling up from the bottom that wants to be expressed, and it needs to be treated in an artful and a mindful way. And the person that works with you needs to have the ability to feel what's going on and know exactly how to navigate your journey, okay? And sometimes when we're dealing with trauma, we don't have our client even think about it, okay? We actually work with them without even having them say anything or thinking about it because it's already in the field, right? But then you have to know how to navigate it. So we're just talking about you being very mindful of how you respond as you're tapping, okay? And if you have any discomfort coming up, instead of getting better and you start feeling like you're out of your water, just respect that, okay? You need to find somebody to work with. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have about it. You can put it in the comments section, and I'll get to them, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so getting back to we're dealing with anger. Okay, so what we're going to do is we can put in this anger, and your being already knows what anger that is. So you say, even though I have this anger, I deeply and completely accept myself. I'm not going to be going through the tapping stuff now because I just gave you that formula, and also it's in my other video that I just released. So I want to go through the important parts of dealing with wording this. Okay, so you can say, even though I have this anger, I deeply and completely accept myself, and you can leave it very general. And then when you're tapping, your reminder phrase is going to be this anger, this anger, this anger, this anger. I'm doing it very fast, just to show you almost a demo of it, yeah? This anger, this anger, this anger. And of course, you got your SUDS level. You're 0 to 10, maybe you're 7, maybe you're 10, wherever you are. And then you do several rounds and see if the anger starts to calm down. Now, what can happen is that you're finding that the anger is starting to calm down, and then there's a bit of a cognitive shift that starts happening, right? Because our anger doesn't allow us to see very wide. We can't see wide with anger. It's like having tunnel vision. And you're in anger, you're also pumping stress hormones, adrenaline, noradrenaline, or epinephrine, however it is that you know that, that are also clouding your ability to perceive clearly and to make really good judgments. All right. So what you want to have is to be rational. You want to have your emotional, your feeling self, you want your thinking self, and you want your intuitive self all working together. Okay? So that's rational, right? You're centered, you're clear, and you're able to look at all the different possibilities of strategies and how to work with something, right? How you want to deal with something. So we're focusing on the anger, and we're tapping on the anger, right? And then we're bringing it down. Of course, that's lowering your stress level, and we already talked the other day about how stress thickens the blood. It makes the heart work hard. It affects it affects blood pressure and your sugar, and it's just really unhealthy for the immune system. So we want you to keep down your stress as much as possible. So anger is a major aspect that we carry around, that's stress. And And we also talked about how we have 60,000 plus, maybe more thoughts a day, and only 5% of that is conscious, and everything else is subconscious, unconscious. And all of that is your downloads and your childhood experiences and your core beliefs and the experiences that are happening in your life, in your society, and from your culture and media and all the stuff that's going on that you are pushing down so you can function during the day, that have been there for many years because they're traumas and so on, and they're running you. Okay, so we want to bring down that stress. All right, now getting back to simple anger. So when you do several rounds of the work on the anger and you find it coming down, that's wonderful. Just keep it going. If you want to, if you can, get it to 0, but certainly get it as low as you can. And also, again, just like what I suggested, which is you should tap on stress in the morning and at night. You can chip away at the stress. You can do the same chipping away at the anger, right? Now, of course, if it's an actual situation, you may need to confront the situation or confront the person and so on, but let's just use it as a generality at this point and say this anger. Now, there's a whole thing about what kind of words should I use. It's not about the words being magical. It is about the fact that you need to be real. You need to be authentic. You need to be vulnerable to your own being. You need to be honest, right? So if you're saying, even though I'm angry, let's say you're dealing with a person, right? So you're filling in this blank. Even though I'm angry at Susan, I deeply and completely accept myself, right? If you do that and you tap angry at Susan, angry at Susan, angry at Susan, angry at Susan, and so on, and do several rounds, and it starts coming down, then great. Just keep going like that and get it as low as you can. And of course, I love 0 because we are happiest at 0. However, if you're trying to be nice about the feeling inside you, almost feeling like it's spiritually incorrect to have the anger that you have. And let's say that you're really enraged. Now that's another level of anger, right? It's not the same flavor. If I say I'm angry at you, or if I say I'm absolutely enraged by your behavior, right? It's a very, very different vibe. It's a completely different frequency. And the important thing when we're tapping on something is that we need to find the specific frequency, which means that allowing yourself to use the words that you really want to use, okay? Now, I was working in a group, working with different issues that people were dealing with, and it was about forgiveness, right? And one of the women in the group was really angry at her friend for doing something. And we were tapping, just filling in the blank. People were filling in the blank in their own minds, which is what happens in a group. You just fill it in your own minds, but you say this stressor or this feeling or whatever, right? And so it turns out that her numbers didn't go down, and she was really angry at her friend. And I said, would you allow me to work with you? And she said, sure. And I said, okay, tell me how you feel about your friend. And she said, no, I'm really angry at her. I said, are you really angry at her, or are you fucking angry at her? And she said, I'm fucking angry at her. I'm like fucking pissed. And I'm like, you need to go there. You need to focus on that, because that's real for you. Okay? Before you were trying to be nice about it. Trying to be nice about it is actually suppressing it. It's keeping it there. Okay? So don't try and be nice about it. You need to be real. That's why I did my little pajama video. You need to be real. You need to be willing to be vulnerable. You need to be authentic. Otherwise, you can't move these things that are going on inside you. You have to be willing to be real. Okay, so what I ended up doing is I worked with her, and I said, even though I'm fucking pissed off at Susan, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm fucking pissed off at Susan, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm fucking pissed off at Susan, I deeply and completely accept myself. And we went through the rounds, and boom, 50% down in just 3 rounds. That was it, right? Went from a 6 down to a 3. And that's because we were hitting what was real. All right, so that's extremely important. All right, so if you're dealing with an anger and you find that it's not coming down, then look more specifically at what you're really feeling. Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling pissed? Are you feeling enraged? Are you boiling inside about it? Okay? So then focus on that. Focus on that, tap on that, and then see what happens in terms of the charge coming down. If the charge has come down, then just continue the rounds. All right? And what you want to do ideally is get to 0. And then eventually call Susan up and say, I really need to talk to you because I'm very angry right now at something that you did. Okay? So, and of course, if it hasn't come down, pay attention, look a little deeper, and see if there's something back here that's niggling that wants to clarify itself. Or maybe there's something going on in your body, okay? So your body may be showing you what's going on in your feelings. Focus inwards, pay attention, and ask that part of your body what it wants you to know. And quite often you'll get more clarity on what's going on for you. I know this is more nuanced and we're going deeper into things, but that's okay, because eventually I'm going to talk about focusing on the body as well. But suffice it to say, be specific about what you're feeling. And so if it's not coming down, you want to get as specific as you can. You want to pay attention to what may be trying to express itself. And then if you have that, you slip that in, right? You slip that in, okay? And then I deeply, completely accept myself, and you try your rounds and you bring it down. That's the ideal, that you bring it down, you get it down to 0. Now what happens when you bring down a charge is that you often have a cognitive shift. You see things from a different perspective. And you may find yourself having compassion, you may find yourself getting sad. Then that's another layer, right? So what we want to do right now in this video is just deal with that one layer of anger. All right, so let me see if there's anything else I want you to know. I think this is a really good place to stop. Think about all of the things that are going on with the quarantine, with the limitation. Perhaps you are not working now because of what happened. So there's probably a good chance that you're really angry about that. And you may be angry about the fact that you can't be social. You may be angry at the fact that you can't go out and touch people. I mean, there's all sorts of things going on now in our society in the situation with the virus that certainly warrant people having feelings of anger. The important thing is to try and keep the charge as low as possible and have it cumulatively worked with every day so that you can keep your stress level as low as possible and stay healthy and as buoyant as you can, because we need your buoyancy, we need your light. And we need your love. We need your positivity. And we need you. All right, so I'm going to stop, and I'm going to wish for you to be able to not be carrying charges of anger, and that you easily are able to move them, and that you have a sense of greater peace. And I send you a tremendous amount of love, and we will speak soon when I have something else to share that I think might be of value for you. All right. Bye-bye.